All right, Chris, back over to you. What are we talking about next? We're going to talk about Israel or what?
Yeah, let's go into this. We have Ruthie here, and as you know, Donald Trump worked on a peace deal between Hamas and Israel, and as we all know, John Quincy Adams kind of warned us about uh, Islamists a long time ago and how they're not exactly the most trustworthy, even when it comes to treaties. But hey, we have to deal with what we have to deal with, I suppose. But having said that, the real question is, as this goes on, we saw Hamas reasserting its authority in the Gaza. First off, yes, on the outside looking in, ladies and gentlemen, the outside looking in, well, they took down some major gang members that are also terrorizing people. I, for one, think that they're a little upset that that the gang was muscling in on Hamas's territory. What are your thoughts?
Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Tim, why don't you take this? Because I know Tim's got to get going. So, Tim, why don't you start us off before you head out?
Well, I think it's fascinating to see that Hamas is both heading back into all the places where they shouldn't be, like hospitals and schools, that they are clearing out the opposition as fast as they can, and that Israel continues to try their very best to avoid collateral damage and casualties.
Yeah.
You know, there's never been a military as tried as hard or done as well. And all I can say is, Trump keeps talking about how they're going to get, if they don't behave, they're going to get slapped down. They're not behaving. I don't think any of us realistically expected them to. They need slapping.
I think that's right. So anyway, well, Tim, thanks for being here today. We'll have you back, obviously, since you're part of the circle, the signal circle. So, yeah.
Nice to see you guys.
Nice to meet you, Tim.
So, well, I have a question for the ladies. So last time I checked, Ruthie and Cherie, you're both ladies, right?
Right.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. So one of the things I find fascinating about Islam is the fact that we have so many folks of the LGBTQ, XYZ, MOUSE persuasion that all somehow believe that supporting the Hamas cause is a good thing. Now, let's be clear on this. They subjugate women. They believe in Sharia law, which means that, you as women, you're like not even a real person. And then homosexuals, and Cherie and I have a lot of mutual friends who are gays and lesbians. I don't care who you sleep with. Don't care. But what is it with the left somehow believing that supporting Hamas is a good thing when the folks on the left would be the first ones murdered by Hamas? What's going on? Let's start with Ruthie on that. Why do they do this?
This is something that's been going on for decades with the left. This total disconnect, supporting causes that are completely contradictory. I mean, you remember Jane Fonda going, supporting Viet Cong. These are people who have no clue about the world, and they're not interested in it. What they're interested in is shitting on the United States and the West in general, and any of America's allies and conservative values, all of that stuff. And it's that disgusting term intersectionality, but we've seen it. They join forces, Students for Justice in Palestine with Black Lives Matter and all this. Do you know how racist against Blacks the Palestinians are, for example? They're not thinkers. What they do is they are anti. Everything they do is anti. It's not pro. That's why I hate the term pro-Palestinian demonstrators. No, they're not pro-Palestinian. They're anti-Israel, anti-America, anti.
Right. Yeah. So, Cherie, over to you on this, because I see, like today, there was this Nidal, what's his name? He's like some British guy pretending to be a journalist. I was tweeting at him earlier. Let's see. Hold on a second here. Let me see.
To find that, yes.
Yeah, I got to find this in my feed because I've been going at him. Hold on. It's here. God, I tweet a lot, don't I? Jesus.
You're a tweetmeister general. That's what you do. You're the tweetmeister.
Man, oh man.
Tweetmeister.
Yeah, man. Okay, here it is. Mehdi Hassan. He got fired from MSNBC for being.
Oh yeah.
So he was complaining about. If you guys can have bells in churches, we could have call to prayers. Like, no, you can't.
No.
The fundamental issue, and let me say this right up front before I let Cherie speak. I'm not trying to talk over you. I want to frame it. The call to prayer is only for men. Cherie, did you know that? If you're a woman,
didn't.
they don't care about you. Did you
Yeah,
know
no
that?
broads allowed, they
No.
say.
This is fundamentally misogynist. So, what's up with this? I mean, how is it that this guy gets away with saying this stuff?
Well, I think the ignorance of again, I have to blame the mainstream media and of course social media for the absolute ignorance of these young folks that are
Yeah.
supporting. And again, I believe they're being paid. They have to be. I mean, why they just take things so off the cuff? To me, radical Islam is the most frightening group, I think, on the planet. To me, they have a Neanderthal type thinking, and and when they attacked Israel, October 7th, I still have the Israeli flag up on all my. I mean, I said I wouldn't take it down until this war was over. I still have not taken it
Good.
down because I don't
Absolutely
believe it's
wonderful.
over.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but to be honest, I would have turned Gaza to glass if it would have been me, because
Oh, yeah.
what they did was absolutely beyond anything I'd ever seen. The cruelest, most awful stuff. And these kids in universities, they're supposed to be smart, but they're radical teachers and professors. They're the ones that have been grooming them. It's so disheartening to me.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I want to make that point. So Ruthie, I know we've all been on Newsmax together several times, and I got to hold back for obvious reasons, but I feel like Cherie, if a population who elected a terrorist organization, which is what happened in Palestine, I consider the Palestinians as co-conspirators. Am I speaking too strongly on this?
No, when you're speaking to me, you're not speaking too strongly.
I mean,
okay.
they chose Hamas.
It's no joke. Listen, the live hostages who were freed or returned last week, almost everyone says there are no innocents in Gaza, etc.
Exactly.
And by the way, that applies to the Palestinian Authority as well. Okay, make no mistake that they're terrorists in ties, and not all of them wear ties either. The point is this: Israel, when that happened on October 7th. You and I both would have said we're leveling the place.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Yes.
But two things prevented us. One was that Hamas had taken captive 251 Israelis and
Right.
also foreign workers. Okay, and we didn't want to inadvertently kill them, or we tried to avoid that. The second thing was we didn't want to kill civilians, I say in air quotes, because it's true. Little children are not terrorists, and their mothers maybe not. Of course, they're growing up to be terrorists because that's what's in their school books, in their mosques,
Right.
in their media. But you're right. I would have leveled the place, but I'm considered an extremist in Israel for saying things like that because you have to be extra careful about collateral damage, etc. And my problem is that with all the care we took, it didn't help. The more care we took, the more anti-Semitism was unleashed around the world, the more the lies about a famine in Gaza and about how everything is under rubble. And let me just make one point. Do you notice that all the Al Jazeera, all the New York Times and Washington Post that had these glossy photos of horrors in Gaza? And you wonder, there's two things you wonder. First of all, they were saying, how come you're not letting journalists in there? The other thing is, many of the pictures taken from Gaza and posted on social media were from iPhones. So I'm wondering, where in the rubble were these people were they charging their cell phones if there's
Wow.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
dare you
exactly.
question them?
Great point.
Yeah, how dare you? Did you know, Ruthie, that according to Greta, someone stepped on her hat? Oh,
Did you see the video where they were in that stupid little boat, and then they tried to claim that they were shot at with flares, except it was one idiot on its own crew shooting the boat with the flare by accident. It was absolutely stupid. And
how dare you, Chris? How dare you?
How dare you?
But back to the point of Ruthie making. So I one of the notable features of the conflict I've seen is I'll give him this. Hamas, with Soros and UN money, have done an amazing job of fighting the information war. They have been able to create a completely false perception of casualties. And I can't believe anybody takes the casualty numbers that the Palestinian, whatever they call that medical group gives them, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. It's insane. But on that point though, they have had between the Palestinian Authority and on the East Bank and the Gaza Strip under Hamas a two-state solution. Am I missing something? They had a de facto two-state solution, right? What am I missing?
Well, what you could say is they had a de facto state. Forget about
Yeah,
the two.
that's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing that is so disgusting, and this is why I say don't call it pro-Palestinian, call it anti-Israel. For example, Hamas, the Palestinians never wanted a state. The head of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, if he had been granted statehood in some fantasy land, right? If he had had statehood, he would have become immediately irrelevant and assassinated by Hamas.
Yeah.
It is their so-called striving for statehood that gives them status in the international arena and gives the UN, it gives him a standing ovation and tons of money. All right. Gaza was, every last Jew was pulled out by the Israeli government, was yanked out of their beautiful little houses with their kids, their families, yanked out of where they lived on the edge of Gaza. It was called Gush Katif. And after that, what did Hamas do with the greenhouses, beautiful greenhouses that were there, all right, growing flowers and vegetables and everything? They immediately destroyed them, turned them into missile factories. They then proceeded to destroy everything that had been built. They destroy everything. They don't build, they destroy. And with all the millions and billions of shekels, dollars, and euros that in the last 20 years have gone into Gaza Strip to rehabilitate it, every time it launched missiles on Israel, and every time Israel responded, and every time the world said it's Israel's fault, they could have all been living in villas with swimming pools and tennis courts.
So that's what I don't get, because I've never been to the Gaza Strip, but it looks like an amazing place on the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is a beautiful, set of water. I mean, my goodness, you could live very well. But my last, I guess we got to wind up here in about 10 minutes. But Cherie, I have a question for you on this. So the Palestinians were able to infiltrate UNRWA, the UN group that was supposed to be giving them aid. So they instead of being happy with the United Nations, to Ruthie's point, they basically infiltrated with Hamas operatives. And then the media, to include Al Jazeera, became essentially a cover for Hamas operatives. So why do we tolerate this nonsense from Hamas when we would never do this for another nation? Why do you think the US is patient with the Hamas on this?
Well, there's got to be some end game. And again, we've talked about this often. What scares me so much about Hamas and all these other terror groups, Muslim terror groups, is that death is a prize. They want it. They look forward to it. They raise their children wanting to die for Allah. To be honest with you, it's so beyond my comprehension that because I'm so horrified by these terror groups. I really am. I mean, I Nazis, all nah. I've always, since Susan Olson turned me on to all of this backstory on these terror groups, that has been what's kept me up at night. The fear of being taken over by a Hamas or type terrorist group, because they are so beyond ruthless. What they did October 7th is what they do, and it's what they enjoy. And I've just never seen anything like it. At 66 years old, I've never seen anything as horrifying as these people. So I don't know if maybe they're being strong armed by Hamas or these other. I mean, they'd much rather kill you than say hello. I don't know. I really don't know how this is happening, but I am telling you, we are in grave danger from it here in the United States. You know, when you've got Dearborn, Michigan, and you've got these places that are actually Sharia law is becoming the law of the land there. How is that happening?
You
Well, I
know,
think
you're
that's,
so
yeah, go ahead,
right.
Ruth. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add, Cherie, you are so right. And that's why we call them a death cult, not just Hamas,
Yes.
you know, ISIS and all the others, a death cult. You know, think about Jonestown, okay? Right? We couldn't understand how all these people committed mass suicide because their guru told them to, right?
Right. Right.
And there was a time when there was a lot of study done on all these cults, and why people would willingly submit themselves to it. And in this case, in the case of the jihadists, they're raising their kids from birth for
Mhm.
this stuff. So you can't really blame the children in the sense that that's what they know.
Thank you for watching this S-Files with Tony Shaffer, a live stream clip. I'm Chris Cordani. Check out the whole live stream on our channel, The Sentinel Files. And for more exclusive content, subscribe to Tony on X at T_S_P_O_O_K_Y. That's T Spooky at T Spooky on X. And of course, you can find even more exclusive content with his Sentinel Circle. You can check that out at ColonelTonyShaffer.com. That's ColonelTonyShaffer.com.